fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration, Monday night edition. We're going to talk about some HEAT, specifically HIPP training. And I reached out to Manny Peralta because of something that was told to me last week. And so I've got something for that, and I'm going to read the HIPP, okay? So we've dealt with HIPP when it first came out, when they falsified it. And so I had an individual reach out to me last week, so I reached out to Manny, and he gave me something very good for y'all and asked that I put it out on the podcast, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to discuss the HIPP today, and also something for you to put in your file about HIPP, okay? And I'm just going to read HIPP again, the training, okay? And so that's what this episode will be. We've got a few shout outs and then some other things when we're talking about heat and heat prevention, okay? Kind of both ends of the spectrum is where we are with management. And I think that it's sad, but one of the things is uplifting, okay? So I got a couple of shout outs first. It says, I'd like to call out Air Capital Branch 201 President Dustin Seville. Building up to the LMOU negotiations, he called for several meetings where he wanted to discuss our LMOU and just allowed any dues-paying members to attend. Then once negotiations began, he had the audacity to send out to our members what we were asking for as well as what the postmaster was asking for, and he even included updates after their meetings. And to top it all off, he sent out the final rough draft the day the union and management agreed on everything, just pending everyone's final review and signatures. And I know what you might think. Well, what did we get out of this? After reading through it, I didn't find any concessions on our part, just nothing but advancements for Wichita City letter carriers. Now, I don't want all this blame to go to Dustin because Goose, Shannon, Tom, Juliana, and Michael were also very instrumental in this agreement. So there is a very good shout out. He's kind of making fun of it, but making light of it. But he's telling, hey, look, and it says sincerely the rank and file. So that's how you do it. You want transparency? That's a perfect example of transparency. You got the president, Dustin Seville. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. Completely involving his carriers. Giving them updates. Telling them exactly what's going on, what they're asking for. And then he includes the others. Goose, Shannon, Dustin, Tom, Juliana, and Michael were also very instrumental in this agreement. That's a fantastic shout out. That's how you do it if you want transparency. That's great stuff. So there you go. Absolutely, I'll give a shout out on that. If you can, give a shout out to Caleb at branch 1016. He's out here leading the fight and deserves it. Also, please tell Mallory, JB, and the rest of your bunch, thank you also. Really, brothers, thanks. Absolutely, I will. So there's one for Caleb at branch 1016. Another shout out. And those are great because you see on social media so many times it's a thankless job. The shop steward, the Formal A, DRT, it's a thankless position. And so just having somebody take the time to reach out and say, hey, we do appreciate you. We do thank you for what you do. It's a thankless job, trust me. It's a thankless job. I've been the shop steward since 2006, and people just kind of take it for granted. And so that's fantastic. I love doing those shout outs for you. Been traveling a lot, and so we just to share a few of the places we've been. A couple of weeks ago, we went to the Cleveland Zoo. If y'all remember, we had a little build up to that. Now, it was monsoon-type conditions at the Cleveland Zoo. It rained harder than I've ever seen it rain, and still had a great crowd come out. A lot of people coming out, and that was very encouraging. A lot of people coming up, and I appreciate y'all more than you know, those that take the time out of your day to come up and say thank you. And we had a fantastic time. James had several people from the CLC there, and we all spoke, and that was a fantastic time with some fantastic people. And then we drove from there up to around Detroit and had the picnic at branch 2184. That's Walt McGregory. He's going to be the next business agent of that region. and had a picnic there, a great turnout there as well. It was about 100 and something degrees. And I'm thinking, the weather's not cooperating. We had monsoons down in Cleveland, over 100 degrees there. And so, but still a fantastic time with our brothers and sisters. Got a chance to speak to those people. And there's nothing better than getting around your brothers and sisters and just catching up. How are y'all doing up here? Things, how different are things up here than down Nashville? And so it's one of the highlights of what I get to do is going around the country seeing my people. And then this weekend, if you know, we went to the Illinois State Convention, and my wife went with me up there. James was detailed kind of up there. He was assigned to that convention. You know, each national officer gets assigned to a state convention. And so he was assigned to the Illinois State Convention. So we went up there, had a fantastic time. And when we drove straight into the picnic area and had a picnic with Branch 11. And if y'all remember Branch 11, I had an episode, it was episode 64. And I talked about the beautiful ones. If you remember, that's when I got kicked out of the Chicago Convention. And so I got kicked out of the Chicago Convention, and it was Branch 11 that took me in as one of their own. And I will never forget that as long as I live, how they treated me. And so we had a function. I got kicked out on Wednesday, and they had a function, invited me to a function on Friday. So I stayed, went to that function, got to meet all of them. And that's when I had the episode talking about humbled and the beautiful ones. That's Branch 11. And so I will always have a special place in my heart for Branch 11. And because they did nothing but show me love when I got kicked out of the national convention. So that was a fantastic time as well. Got to speak there at the picnic. James and I did. And just staying around a lot of beautiful people in Branch 11. And then that night we had a meet and greet. Another fantastic time. A lot of people there. And so I had a fantastic time meeting a lot of people. We took a lot of pictures together. Just got to socialize. And it was an absolutely beautiful night. And so it was a fantastic time. And then, and it kind of soured it because I heard somebody sent me something today, and it was Mike Harris' podcast. And it was sad that somebody would try to politicize such a beautiful time. We had a beautiful time, James and I did. The people there were absolutely incredible to us. They didn't have to come up and talk to us at all. They didn't have to say a word, but all night people were coming up showing us love. And to hear Mike Cariff, which it's upsetting to me because anytime I'm going somewhere and Mike's there, I make sure I go up to him and shake his hand, give him a hug, tell him I love him. Anytime I'm around that guy, I do that. And to hear what he kind of politicized that, to me was really shitty. And like he came up and took a picture with us, James and I, and obviously I'm going to say, yeah, I'll take a picture with you. And James was there, and he had a drink in his hand. And I don't care if you drink. My issue is if you glorify your alcoholism, that's when I have an issue. If you realize what's happened to this craft because of alcoholism, when Rolando hid the fact that Brian was an alcoholic, that's borderline criminal to me. It's borderline criminal because you're putting somebody in place that you know is an alcoholic, not a recovering alcoholic. He was still an alcoholic at the time. It's borderline criminal because this gentleman is solely responsible for our wages and our benefits, because he's the one that's solely responsible for collective bargaining. And so when you hid that from the members and you put somebody in there that you knew for a fact was an alcoholic, it's borderline criminal activity to me. That's how strong I feel about it. And so, you have another gentleman coming out kind of glorifying his alcoholism. Well, to me, that's sad, completely sad that somebody would do that. And so Mike had a drink in his hand. Now, Mike has told me before that he doesn't drink a lot, that he's a social drinker at best. And so he came up, had a drink in his hand. We took a picture with him. I hugged the guy. And then he politicizes the picture, which to me was odd. Saying, I had a glass in my hand, obviously they don't drink. I don't drink. I don't drink. Now, I've said that I will take a shot wherever I go. If I'm with a group of people and they want to take a shot, I'll take a shot. And that will knock me on my ass most of the time. But I don't drink. James Henry does not drink. If that's a disqualifier that I don't drink, then I'm not going to get elected because I just don't drink. Like I said, I'll take a shot. But he says, I'm the only one with a glass in my hand. Carriers drink. I don't know whether he's trying to fit in with a certain group or not, but to me, that's an odd position. It's an odd position to take. And like I said, if that's a disqualifier, then I won't get elected because I don't drink. And so just to politicize a picture, so obviously the picture was made just so he could put it up on his podcast today and talk about it, which was weird. But I'm going to play something for you because Mike talked about he's getting tired of me questioning his integrity, and I'll talk about that in a second. But he has a host on there. I guess this is one of the people that's on the podcast, and I'm going to play something for you because this is an intentional lie. And Mike knows it is. Mike knows it's an intentional lie against me. And here's the problem. I'm legitimately trying to do something nice. And they're going to intentionally lie on me. And I've always said, if you're going to lie on me, I'm going to call it out. I will always call it out. The best thing for Mike to do is run his race. James Henry's not going to get involved with that. I've always said winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. And so if you have winners focus on winning, that's James Henry. He's looking ahead. He doesn't have time to stop and look behind him to see who's behind him talking. And you will never get James Henry engaged in any kind of gutter talk or anything like that. He's just not going to do it. And so, but here's the thing. Well, I'll just play it for you, and hopefully you can hear it. But this is what was said, and it's a complete lie.
That's what we did.
It was funny when Diana went around to do the 50-50, she got Corey to buy some tickets.
Yeah, she was doing 50-50 for NBA.
Yeah, and he was like, if I win or whatever, like, he's like, it's fine, you guys can just keep the money. So he ended up winning the 50-50, and when he got pulled, Diana called him and let him know, hey, just letting you know you won the 50-50, this is the money, and she was going to keep it. And he's like, nah, I'm right around the corner, I'll come and get the money. Like, I didn't know it was going to be that much. So.
Oh, really? Wow. He said the campaign needs some money.
Yeah, I thought so.
All right, now that's a blatant lie. That's a blatant lie, and all of them laughing when he's saying it means that they've already rehearsed that. Here's what happened, and I'm always going to call out a son of a bitch that's going to lie on me because I was generally trying to do something nice. So when the lady came around selling tickets, I have helped this lady before in Boston. She had called me and asked that I put it out on the podcast that she was doing a 50-50 raffle. And so she came up to me and she thanked me for that at the Illinois State Convention. And I said, no problem. And I said, here, I'll buy some tickets. Bought $20 worth of tickets. And I handed her the tickets. And I said, hey, look, if I win, just keep the money. She says, no, that's your tickets. That's your money. I said, no, I want y'all to just put the money back in. No, it's your money. That's exactly what she said. I had a table full of people that heard that. And so then I said, that's fine. I gave the tickets to James Henry. And I said, I won't be there. If I win, just keep the money. That's what I said. It's a table full of people that heard it. The next day, she messages me. And she's like, hey, you won. I didn't respond. So then I get out to the car. I'm walking to the car with my luggage. And I called and I said, hey, give the money to James Henry. That's what I told her. Give the money to James Henry. I'm leaving. She didn't say, I want to keep the money. That's not what she said. She's like, well, hey, James is busy because James is up there talking at the convention. And she said, and I'm stuck down here in the lobby with this bag full of money. I said, okay, no problem. I said, I'm 5 minutes away. I'll come over there. At no time did she say, I want to keep the money. Matter of fact, when I told her to keep the money, she said, no, it's your money. And so then I drove over there. She came out with the deposit bag, the zip-up bag filled with money. And she thanked me again for Boston. And then she says, next year we'll have LA. And I'm going to do the same thing. Do you mind if I reach out? I said, you can call me anytime and I will help you. And she thanked me again. And so then now you've got somebody politicizing that, saying that I told them to keep the money until they told me how much I wanted and I went and got the money. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie from a liar. That's what that is. There's no reason to bring us into y'all's conversation at all. Another thing he said, Mike said, which is a blatant lie, is he said that James and I were there and that some people that were there had some choice words for me and James. Had choice words for us. Not one single person had choice words for me or James. Everybody there treated us with respect. Every single person there treated us with respect. Came up to us, thanked us for what we're doing, asked if they could take pictures. We said, absolutely. We talked to them, put our arms around them all night long. Not one person. I did have one individual that's a full-time union person come up to me and talked about something, and we took that conversation outside, and we talked about some things that he had heard, and we cleared the air, and he ended up hugging me. And then he asked me, he said, hey, I've got an up-and-comer in my branch who listens to the podcast, and he's a big fan. Will you just talk to him and give him some words of encouragement? I said, absolutely, I'll do that. And at that time, the gentleman came out and came up to us. And I took about 10 minutes out of my day to sit here and talk to this young man that's an up-and-comer, to encourage that gentleman to keep fighting and always put the city letter carrier first. But yet you got Mike going to tell his audience, however many it is, that, well, there are some people that had choice words for them. That's a blatant lie. And then he wants to talk about, he's tired of me talking about his integrity. When you got people on his podcast lying about me, he's lying about James and I. He's bitter about what happened. You want to talk about integrity, we will talk about it. I've always said, I don't talk about Mike anymore. We have moved past that. We're focused on winning this race. But if anybody wants to bring Mike up to me and what happened, I will address it. I have always said that. Because I'm still kind of upset about how all that went down. Mike, when you talk about integrity, you lied to my face twice. You lied to me. When you told me to my face at my house that you supported James Henry and you supported the CLC and that you were 100% in, and whatever position James wanted you in, you would take it. That's exactly what you told me verbatim. And then you had people getting in your ear telling you, hey man, you need to run. That wasn't right. You need to run. It's at that time when your integrity comes into question. That's the time when you say, I'm not going to listen to that because I've already given people my word that I'm going to go with the CLC and I'm going to support James Henry. When people come in, when those outside voices come in and they try to tell you, go against your word, that's when your integrity is called into question. And you failed miserably. But yet you want the CLC and James Henry to be the bad guy because of your dishonesty. And you're still being dishonest today, brother. Run your race, Mike. Run your race, brother. You know, damn, you want to make light of me saying, I love you, but you're whatever. I love the city letter carrier. I am here for the city letter carrier only. I'm an anti-establishment carrier. I do not like the establishment as is. And so, yes, I threw my hat in the ring because I am against the establishment, those that have screwed over my people for so long. I am anti-establishment. Are there good people up there? Absolutely, and I always say that. Not everybody up there is a piece of shit. There are some fighters up there still. But I am anti-establishment. I'm unapologetic about that. I'm unapologetic about being anti-establishment. I am pro-city letter carrier, period. So when you come around talking about you're tired of me questioning your integrity, it's things like today, Mike, that make me talk about your integrity, because you have none. You lied to James Henry to his face. You lied to other members of the CLC to their face. And then you're going to leave and you're going to try to make it like you're the victim. And we're the bad guys. We were all supporting you. We were all supporting you when you lost to the committee vote. Every single one of us were supporting you. And you still stabbed us in the back. Then you want to talk about debating James and having this ranked choice voting and all these other things. Do you know, Mike, that if you would have kept your word, nobody would ever have to worry about splitting the vote? That wouldn't even be talked about. That wouldn't even be a concern. If you would have kept your word to James Henry and me and others, nobody would be talking about splitting the vote. But you did that. That's on you. Talking about debating James, why would James debate you? You've proven to him that you're dishonest. You're not trustworthy. James is focused on winning. That's what winners do. Talking about ranked choice voting. Why? CLC has chosen James Henry. He is the pick of the CLC to be the next president. The members will vote on that in the election. That's exactly how it's going to be. Brother, move on and run your race. But when you get on your podcast and you intentionally lie like that, I'm going to address it. I'm going to, like others that have gotten podcasts, like others that have. I will address it. The gentleman who talked about the MDA is a blatant liar, Mike. And I'm ashamed of you that you would allow that on there and laugh about it. I'm ashamed. I let you on this podcast, my man, even after you stabbed us in the back, because I told you that I would. I was told everybody in the CLC, I gave the man my word I would let him on. I'm going to let him on. I could have cut your ass off then, and I didn't, because I gave you my word. You don't come on it now, and so now all of a sudden you got issue with me talking about, I need to change because of politics. I need to change who I am, what I say, what I do. I'm not changing for anybody, Mike. I am who I am, and if that loses me the EVP position, so be it. But I will not have city letter carriers say, hey, damn, Corey started being EVP. He definitely changed, didn't he? He's not the same. He doesn't have that same fire, that same passion. He doesn't go after management and the establishment the same way because he's taken on a position. They're not going to say that about me because I'm one of them. I deliver mail every single day. I'm a city letter carrier, Mike. And so because you don't get to come on here anymore, you're going to start taking these subtle shots at me. Look, I told you how you could come on my podcast. I told you what? What did I tell you? Call James Henry and make amends. Call James Henry and apologize for what you did. If you do that, I'll let you back on this podcast. That's what I told you. You can come back and say whatever. You know for a fact that's what I told you. You refused to do that. You refused to call James and say, James, I apologize for lying to you. To the CLC for lying to you. You will say whatever needs to be said with whatever group you're in front of. That's the politician in you. When you're in a certain group and you say, I don't believe in certain groups inside the NALC, like I don't agree with the CLC and the BFN. Well, you were part of the CLC until you lost the vote, but now you don't agree with the CLC. Come on, brother. When you say that you're getting tired of me questioning your integrity, but you understand that it's just politics. It's not politics, Mike. You lied to me. That's nothing political about that. You lied to my face twice, once at my house. There's nothing political about that, Mike. You lied to me. Do better than that, man. Don't be another one of those politicians that gets on here and just whatever group you're in front of, you're going to tell them what they want to hear. Stick to who you are. That's what I have done. A lot of people don't like it, like you don't now. Like you saying I should change. I'm not changing for anybody. I can sit down in front of anybody in management and represent the city letter carrier. I've done it thousands of times. In arbitration, I do it. Handle myself very professionally. I sat in front of district managers, Eastern area VPs. National level, I've sat down in front of those people and handled myself very professionally. I'm not concerned about that. I know that the city letter carrier will be first under the CLC. They are not now. The union is first, and the city letter carrier has been forgotten. That's where this is going to go, is the city letter carrier will be first again. I'm not concerned about meeting anybody, sitting down in front of anyone, because I know how I am. I'm extremely professional, but I will not concede anything. But do better than that, brother. I was saddened to hear that. Saddened, especially for you to allow somebody to get on there and lie about the MDA when I was legitimately trying to do something nice. Legitimately trying to do something nice. I don't know what to tell you, my man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know why the CLC, James Henry, and I came up in your podcast about this weekend. Because it was nothing but fantastic memories for me. And James. We talked about it when we left, about the amazing people we met at the Illinois State Convention. All of the amazing people that came up to us. Not one person came up with choice words for James Henry. Not one. Not one came up to me with choice words. Like I said, I had somebody that was a full-time union person come up and voice some concerns. He didn't have choice words. We went outside and talked about it. Ended up hugging each other. And then he asked me to talk to a person that was a fan of mine. You know. Do better than that, my man. You are better than that, Mike, aren't you? You are better than that, right? Anyway. So that kind of put a damper on it. You know, such a fantastic weekend. Such a fantastic time. And, you know, to have that kind of bullshit, you know, somebody come in there and lie their ass off about something that happened. To do what? To build yourself up? Why? If you feel so confident about your position, why are you doing that? Why are you going after James? James hasn't said a cross word about anybody, and he never will. You know why James Henry's going to win, and it'll win in a landslide? Because of his integrity. Everybody that meets that man can see it. And right now, I've said it all along. Right now, more than ever, we need integrity back in that position. Nobody else running has it. Nobody has it. And like I said, if drinking's a prerequisite to be EVP, I'm not going to get it. If it's a disqualifier, I'm not going to get it. But it was an odd take for you to come over there and have somebody come take a picture and you're holding a drink in your hand when you already told me that you don't drink that much. And then to get on there and say, you know, I drink, carriers drink. You know, they don't drink, carriers drink. That's bizarre. You know, that's bizarre to me. That was that important. You came and asked me to take a picture with you, brother, and I did. I put my arm around you. I put my arm around you and took a picture. And you're going to try to politicize that against me and James. Shame on you, man. You're better than that, Mike. Do better. Do better. Run your race, man. Run your race. But if anybody comes at me about something that you said based off of the CLC, and you've been dishonest this whole time, I'm going to address that because you never have. You never came out and corrected anything. And so if they come at me with that stuff, I'm going to address it. Absolutely. Because all of this splitting the vote, that's 100% on you. Because you didn't keep your word. 100% on you. That would never be in the discussion if you'd have kept your word. So you want to talk about integrity? I will. Okay? You have none. All right? Now, I love you. You may think that's funny, but I do. If you called me and said you were in some shit, brother, I would be there. I would be there in a fucking heartbeat. If I had to drive tonight, if you told me you were in some shit, I would be there. Trust me. Regardless of all that other stuff. Why? Because you're my brother. And I love the shit out of you. Do better than that. Do better than what you did today. All right? And clean that shit up with people lying about me on there. About the MDA. That's bullshit, man. Because I was legitimately trying to do something nice. And when I told the lady to keep it, she said, no. These are your tickets, it's your money. She didn't say, oh, thank you. She said, no. I had a table full of people that heard that. And then when she called me, I said, give it to James. Well, he's busy. And I'm sitting down here in the lobby with all this money. I said, okay, I'm 5 minutes away. I'll come get it. And then she thanked me for Boston, for helping her. And then she asked if I would help her again in L.A. And I said, absolutely, I will. Call me anytime. And you're going to turn it into that. Shame on all y'all, brother. Do better. Do better. All right, let's talk about some heat other than that heat. Because I tell you, man, James Henry's going to win in a landslide. It will not be close. But I will take exception to people lying on me and lying on James. I will take exception to that. Run your race. Whoever's running, run your race. Okay? I want to read this is what management put out when talking about HIPP, talking about safety, okay? It says Postal Service employees must complete this year's heat safety training. The online course available in Hero is due March 15th, okay? Postal Service employees must complete this year's heat safety training. And this is what it says. The Postal Service's mandatory heat illness prevention program, HIPP training, is now available in Hero. The course is titled FY24 Heat Stress Recognition and Prevention and must be completed by Friday, March 15th. Facility managers are responsible for ensuring the course is presented to bargaining unit employees without computer access and then recorded in Hero as after-the-fact training by March 15th. Employee safety is a top priority for the Postal Service. This course, part of our HIPP, is designed to ensure that employees are educated about all heat-related ailments, said Leanne Theroux, Employee Safety and Health Awareness Manager. I'm going to read that again. Employee safety is a top priority for the Postal Service. Remember that. The HIPP is in effect from April 1st through October 31st and is triggered any other time when National Weather Service reports for a particular work location indicate that the outdoor heat index is expected to exceed 80 degrees during the course of a work day or work shift. I'm going to read that again. The HIPP is in effect from April 1st through October 31st and is triggered any other time when National Weather Service reports for a particular work location indicate that the outdoor heat index is expected to exceed 80 degrees during the course of a work day or work shift. Weather reports are available from the NWS website. To further educate employees, facility managers, or their designees can order heat safety posters, vehicle stickers, and badge cards from the Topeka, Kansas Material Distribution Center eBuy Plus catalog. Hero is now part of the new MyHR website. Employees can access the site by going to blue or light blue on a computer or mobile device and selected the My Hero link, okay? So remember that. What they say? Employee safety is a top priority for the Postal Service. And then I see in the news a Charlotte mail carrier, now this is the other day, a Charlotte mail carrier suspended after calling 911 in medical emergency. So you had a carrier that sent a scanner message. I believe I'm saying this right. If I'm not, somebody let me know. Sends in a scanner message that they're not feeling well. No response. Okay, management does not respond to that MDD text. So she has to call 911 because she is not going to make it. And 911 comes out, they come out there and they get her and take her to the emergency room. She comes back, management still has no idea what's happened. And she comes back, where's your mail? My vehicle is still out there. They put her on emergency placement for willful delay of the mail. They put her on emergency placement for calling 911. Now, what'd they say? Employee safety is a top priority for the Postal Service. They put somebody on emergency placement because they texted in. Why did they not put the supervisor on emergency placement? Why is the supervisor still supervising? Here's another thing. I was told today by management that unless it's 110 degrees, I can't take additional breaks. I can't take additional comfort stops. Unless it's 110 degrees. Now, what did that thing say? If it's 80 degrees, HIPP is initiated, right? You have a manager on the workroom floor saying, unless it's 110 degrees, I can't take additional comfort stops. And when I talk about when I'm EVP, we're going to target managers, the vital few as far as the toxic working environment with dogs of war. I am also going to target these that say things that are deadly. That's a deadly thing to say. When you say, unless it's 110 degrees, you can't take additional breaks. That's deadly. And so I will bring the full force of my position down on individuals like that. I will send in whoever, however many, and I'll get district managers involved, area managers involved. That's what I'm going to do, because we're going to curb it. We're going to stop it. The toxic working environment, we're going to stop that. These things, these unsafe and deadly messages, we're going to stop those things, because we're going to get people involved that don't want to be involved. When you're talking about the inconvenience of it all, you're going to talk about the consequence of their actions. That's one of the things. I want to read something else to you. Now listen to this. My MPOO has instructed our supervisors to take the staff car and deliver electrolytes to the carriers. She also instructed the supervisors to get the employees in the staff car for no less than 10 minutes to cool down. This extra measure was in addition to informing carriers to take any measures to cool down throughout the day. The 10 minutes in the car will not be considered their break, nor will any other time required to cool down. I think there is no greater opportunity for employees to understand how acceptable it is to take breaks as needed to cool down. I hope more managers learn from this example before it's too late in their areas. What about that? You talking about the polar opposites. You got a manager saying, hey, unless it's 110 degrees, you cannot take an extra break. Complete false, a completely deadly message to the city letter carriers. Here you have an MPOO. Hey, y'all, get off y'all's asses, get in that car, and take electrolytes out to my people, because an MPOO, we are all their people. Supervisors, carriers, all of us are their people, right? They're over all of us. So here's one saying, hey, supervisors, while you're not doing anything, get up, go take electrolytes out to my carriers during all this heat, and let them sit in your car for 10 minutes in the air conditioning. And that won't be considered one of your breaks. What about that? Why can they not all be like that? Human beings, understanding the perils that we are in every day. We need more like that, and I congratulate that one. Right? They are my enemy, but I'll give it to that one. Kudos to that one. Right? That's taking care of my people, because all I care about is light blue. I don't care about anything else. People can say I'm anti-union, anti-whatever. I am pro-light blue. Period. My agent should be pro-light blue. And they will be when we take over. They will be pro-light blue. It will be the city letter carrier first and nothing else second. I will make sure of that as a city letter carrier going straight from the floor to EVP. After 30, it'll be 33 years at the time. We will put the city letter carrier back first. So good for that MPOO right there. Kudos to that one. Here's another thing somebody sent me, and I asked if I could read it, and they said yes, because I did like this. It says, hey, Corey, great info on the last podcast. I've carried for 31 years and never had an issue with the heat until this past Monday. Was able to finish, but brought back assigned 2 hours of OT on another route. Spent the next day in urgent care getting IV fluids, but I'm fine now. The doctor said, you are the fourth mailman I've seen in the last 2 days. Couple of suggestions. If you feel ill, request a CA1 and write a statement before you hit off the clock and leave the office. I'll say that again. Couple of suggestions. If you feel ill, request a CA1 and write a statement before you hit off the clock and leave the office. Even if you don't go to a doctor, it inconveniences management. If a break is needed, I start the break, get my wits about me, and text, taking a needed heat break. If that means I need to get to a place with AC, I go there first and then text. Very good. That alone will buy you extra time from them to respond. Also, the same process when returning to my route. Just before I start to deliver, I text, resuming delivery. I never call. I want it all in writing. Very good. Also, when the USPS turned on the GPS on the scanners, they issued a public statement saying that it was for our safety. I remember customers saying to me that it's good that they can keep in touch with you. Lastly, I'll leave you with what a senior carrier said to me 30 years ago. You're the captain of your own ship. If you choose to go to sea and encounter a hurricane, nor'easter, or illness and don't turn for port, you'll be the famous captain who went down with your ship. If you choose to return to port before disaster strikes, you can sail tomorrow. I choose not to be famous. Take care of yourself. Fantastic message right there. Fantastic stuff right there. Okay? Take care of yourself. And listen, when you text on the scanner and say, hey, I'm taking an additional break, and this is no lie, if management comes back with anything other than okay, if they say, hey, you've taken too many, grieve that immediately. Grieve it. If they say you're taking too many breaks, or how long are you going to be this time, whatever, anything like that, I'm going to grieve it under Article 14. Okay? And then I'd also put 1860 in there on there too, okay? Because that's going to be one of our stalwarts when we go forward as that. But yeah, that's some fantastic stuff. Now let me get to what Manny sent me. And I'm going to have a couple of weeks on this. Now next Sunday, I'm going to have Pam Donato on here. She's part of the CLC ticket. You're going to love her. You're going to love this lady. You're talking about a passion for the city letter carrier. You're going to love this young lady. And then next week also, I'm going to be on Next Generation Carriers podcast. There are going to be several of us talking about heat, okay? And that should be good as well. And they usually do a fantastic job. And that will be next Sunday as well. So next Sunday I'll be on that podcast, and I'm going to have Miss Pam Donato on as well. But I'll also cover two other things that Manny sent me, all right? But I'm going to talk about the HIPP, because what happened was I got a call, it was a couple of weeks ago, and the individual said, hey, Corey, I've got a carrier that wants to join in, that wants to ask you something. I said, okay. And so this carrier came on. They said, hey, we've had safety in our office all week. They've been walking around doing things all week. And so one of the carriers said, hey, why are y'all not doing HIPP? And the safety manager said, we no longer do HIPP. Okay? That's what the safety manager told the carriers. Well, that's the first I heard of that. And that's what I told this individual. I said, I've not heard that. And so last I heard, we're still doing it. I said, but let me get back with you. So I looked it up. It was, I found that 2025, HIPP still going on. But I messaged Manny Peralta, head of safety and health for the NALC. And I asked him, I emailed him, I said, hey, brother, as far as I know, we're still doing HIPP training, but, this location, safety told them that they're no longer doing HIPP. And so Manny messaged me back, and he said, here's all this stuff here. If you don't mind, put it out on your podcast. I said, absolutely, I will. The very first thing I'm going to read is April 4th of 2025 this year. April 4th of 2025. Now, I'm going to put this up. Mallory's on vacation, but when she comes back, I'm going to have her put all of this stuff up because he sent me a bunch of stuff, and it was all fantastic. April 4th of 2025, Mr. Brian Renfro, President, blah, blah, blah. Dear Brian, as a matter of general interest, the Postal Service is updating the Heat Illness Prevention Program, HIPP, for 2025. Now, what year are we in right now? 2025. So when you have a safety manager tell an entire group of carriers, we no longer do HIPP, that's a grievance. I'm going to file a grievance. I'd contact my business agent. Now, when I'm EVP, I want you to contact me as well. Because like I said, when things are coming in that's this dangerous, I'm going to put the hammer on them, right? Like I said in that Rural Carriers podcast, if they want the spotlight, I'm going to give it to them in spades. In spades. I want to know of these things. Even though this deals with safety and health, I want to know about it. Because we are going to try to change the culture of the workroom floor. That's what we're going to do immediately. And so, things like this, I want to come to me because I'm going to make sure I send somebody in there, just like when you talk about these dogs of war, for that. So I'll read again. As a matter of general interest, the Postal Service is updating the Heat Illness Prevention Program, HIPP, for 2025. Enclosed are the following. The Heat Illness Prevention Program, HIPP documents, Safety Talk 2068 Heat Illness Prevention Program, Poster 326, Prevent Heat Illnesses, Know the Signs and Act, HIPP Facts, HIPP publication brochure titled Beat the Heat, Understanding Heat Illness Prevention, Safety Talk 2501, Heat Illness and Prevention, Annual Refresher, Poster 326, Prevent Heat Illnesses, Know the Signs and Act. Please contact Lindsay A. Butler at extension 7194 if you have any questions concerning this matter. Sincerely, Bruce Nicholson. So he told you there's all these things. Now they took the video out, right? They don't want us in the office anymore watching that 30-minute video. But here's HIPP, Prevent Heat Illnesses, Know the Signs and Act. Heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Heat exhaustion, faint or dizzy. Excessive sweating. Cool, pale, clammy skin. Nausea or vomiting. And we've had several of our carriers vomiting. One poor CCA, she just quit on us. But she was doing my route while I was gone. And she started vomiting, and they came out there and got her, and she quit. Poor thing. Rapid weak pulse, muscle cramps. Call 911. Get to a cooler, air-conditioned place. Drink water if fully conscious. Take a cool shower or use cold compresses. Now it tells you to call 911 right there in heat in the hip. Now what happened to the young lady that called 911 out there in that other place? They put her on EP. So here it tells you to call 911 if you have heat exhaustion, not even heat stroke, heat exhaustion, faint or dizzy, excessive sweating, cool, pale, clammy skin, nausea or vomiting, rapid, weak pulse or muscle cramps. Call 911. So that's what we do. What they do, they put us on emergency placement. Do you know why I would go after that manager so hard? What message did that tell the other carriers? What message did that send to those carriers in that area or in that station? That if you call 911 because of the heat, we're going to put you off the clock and take you away from your livelihood. We're going to take money away from you if you call 911 because of the heat. That's what that meant. How does that person still have a job? Because the message is already sent. If I'm out there feeling cramps and I'm like, well, I'm calling 911, but I might be off a week without pay if I do. Maybe I should just suffer through it and keep trying to hydrate. Maybe the symptoms will go away. And then you will end up with heat stroke. But that's the carelessness that we're going to target. Okay? They want the spotlight, we're going to give it to them. I promise you that. Heat stroke, throbbing headache, no sweating, body temperature above 103, red, hot, dry skin, nausea or vomiting, rapid, strong pulse, may lose consciousness. Call 911. Take immediate action to cool the person until help arrives. Safety depends on me, and that's exactly right. You depend on management, we're going to die because they don't care. But you got that one MPOO, like I said, good for her. Heat Illness Prevention Program Safety Talk, HIPP, number 2068. 2068. Now that's on the 2025 HIPP, remember? I said Safety Talk 2068. Here's a Heat Illness Prevention Program, Safety Talk HIPP 2068. So this is it. The purpose of the Postal Service's Heat Illness Prevention Program is to protect our employees against heat-related illnesses. A copy of the HIPP and the HIPP poster will be posted in a conspicuous place in every Postal Service facility and will be available for review by all employees. The HIPP poster can be printed from the Safety Resource Tools, A to Z OSH topics, and additional posters, vehicle stickers, and badge cards can be ordered from the Topeka NDC. The HIPP is triggered during the period of April 1 through October 31, and at any other time when weather reports issued by the National Weather Service for a particular work location indicate that the outdoor heat index temperatures are expected to exceed 80 degrees Fahrenheit during the course of a workday or work shift. To assist in recognizing the signs and symptoms of heat-related illness, all employees will be provided the below visual aids illustration, the various symptoms of and proper first aid responses to heat-related illness. These visual aids may be used to assist in identifying common signs of heat-related illness and provide appropriate actions to help guide decisions to seek medical attention. Employees should report any signs or symptoms of heat-related illness to their supervisor, who should then call 911 immediately if it is determined that a medical attention is necessary. Now I'll read that again. Employees should report any signs or symptoms of heat-related illness to their supervisor, which is exactly what that carrier did with no response, who should then call 911, talking about the supervisor. So the supervisor has failed in their responsibilities to us, because the supervisor was doing whatever else, not answering the scanner messages. We had to call 911 because we were succumbed to the heat, and then they put us off the clock, when in actuality, they should have been put off the clock. However, if the employee determines that medical attention may be necessary prior to calling the supervisor, the employee should not hesitate to call 911 first. Always remember, safety depends on me. Emergency planning and response. All employees are encouraged to take immediate action if they observe another employee exhibiting signs or symptoms of heat-related illness. employees should err on the side of caution and immediately call 911 whenever an employee complains of or is observed exhibiting signs of heat-related illness and it is determined medical intervention may be necessary. Now, I can appreciate this because we are dying on the streets. We're dying. And we have people going to the hospitals, getting IVs, succumbing to the heat in ICUs. These things are happening. It's our biggest killer is the heat. That's the reason we raised so much hell during Mr. Gates and the reason we took such exception to the establishment, Brian Renfro, how they handled that whole thing, not attacking the falsification. I know that he is in front of OSHA, refused to acknowledge the falsification. He's in front of Congress, refused to acknowledge the falsification. If you say, we have safeguards in place at the Postal Service, yes, we do. They testified to it earlier. They have safeguards in place to protect the city letter carriers and heat. HIPP is one of those. But listen, understand this. The safeguards that they have in place, they falsified on us, and now they're saying that they no longer do those things. That's what should have been said in front of OSHA and Congress. You get a platform like that, a stage like that, you've got to use it. Those things did not happen. Matter of fact, he said that, generally we're out of the office in an hour. Don't ever say that because management will use that. Don't ever say we're generally out of the office in an hour. Even if that's true, you don't say that. You don't offer that up. And if you get an opportunity, if management's patting themselves on the back, we do have things in place, safeguards in place, HIPP. When you get your turn, you say, they do have those in place, but listen here. They have falsified those in the past nationally, and now they're actively on the workroom floor telling carriers that they no longer do HIPP. There's one safeguard. But I appreciate this, emergency planning and response, because I can use this in every single grievance that comes up with management doing what they just did to that poor person to put them on EP. All employees. Now, do you know who employees are? It doesn't say all city letter carriers. It says all employees. Now, who are all employees? All of us are employees of the Postal Service. All employees are encouraged to take immediate action if they observe another employee exhibiting signs or symptoms of heat-related illness. Employees should err on the side of caution and immediately call 911 whenever an employee complains of or is observed exhibiting signs of heat-related illness and it is determined medical intervention may be necessary. Other emergency planning and response procedures will include, but are not limited to, the following actions. Employees will be trained to recognize symptoms of heat-related illness and taught basic first aid measures related to heat stress as described in the training section above. Employees observed by management exhibiting signs or symptoms of a heat-related illness will be monitored and shall not be left alone or sent home without being provided with emergency medical service. Engineering and administrative controls. The Postal Service will implement procedures to ensure that potable water sources are available in all facilities and are monitored during regular safety inspections. Now, I've also had people reach out and say they have no water. Management's going to have to go out and buy it. If they don't, I'm going to grieve that, okay? Because it says potable water sources. A postcard promoting heat stress awareness is mailed annually to all employees. Stickers are installed in every vehicle identifying the signs and symptoms of heat-related illness. Laminated cards containing information identifying the signs and symptoms of heat-related illness are provided to all carriers and supervisors for attachment to identification badges. An escalation process is put in place to prioritize all requests for HVAC repairs and temporary abatement efforts in postal facilities. Postal vehicle fans are included in all preventive maintenance inspections and any necessary repairs are made. Now, they've also had people reaching out saying their fans don't work and management's making them go out. I'm going to grieve that as well. That's unsafe. And I would not use that vehicle. I would not use it. Even if they gave me a direct order with threats of discipline, I'm not getting in a vehicle with no fan. Safety depends on me, right? Article 14 tells them they are obligated to provide a safe working environment for me. If they're telling you to go out in a vehicle with no fan, I'm not doing it. I'm sitting right there. Now, they can pay me 8 hours to do nothing. They can give me another vehicle with a fan in it or give me administrative leave and I'll go home. but I'm not going out in an unsafe vehicle in this heat. I'm not dying because of management, period. When the HIPP is in effect, supervisors, while performing required street observations, will include HIPP-related conversations with employees paying attention to those who are newly hired or returning from extended absence of 7 or more consecutive days if known. And here's a chart. Symptoms and first aid: heat stroke, symptoms, confusion, fainting, seizures, excessive sweating or red, hot, dry skin, very high body temperature. First aid: call 911. While waiting for help, workers should rest in shady, cool area, loosen clothing, remove outer clothing, use a fan, and place cold packs in armpits if available. Wet worker with cool water. Apply ice packs, cool compresses, or ice if available. Drink fluids, preferably water, as soon as possible. Stay with worker until help arrives. Heat exhaustion: cool, moist skin, heavy sweating, headache, nausea or vomiting, dizziness, lightheadedness, weakness, thirst, irritability, fast heartbeat. Call 911. While waiting for help, sit or lie down in a cool, shady area. Drink plenty of water or other cool beverages. Use cool compresses or ice packs if available. Do not return to work that day. Heat cramps, muscle spasms, pain, usually in abdomen, arms, or legs. Have workers rest in shady, cool area. Workers should drink water or other cool beverages. Wait a few hours before allowing worker to return to strenuous work. Read that again. Wait a few hours before allowing worker to return to strenuous work. Have a worker seek medical attention if cramps don't go away. Heat rash: clusters of red bumps on skin, often appears on neck, upper chest, folds of skin. Try to work in a cooler, less humid environment when possible. Keep the affected area dry. Now that's a heat rash. Try to work in a cooler, less humid environment when possible. All right? Training and mobile delivery device messaging. Now here's the MDD. Training. The Postal Service will require annual completion of a HERO training course on heat stress by all employees in every facility. So that answers your question to that individual. And I've already sent them everything they need. But when safety came in and said we no longer do HIPP, the Postal Service will require annual completion of a HERO training course on heat stress by all employees in every facility, regardless of exposure assessment findings. This course will discuss the effects of heat on the body, outline the risk factors for heat-related illness, and describe the associated treatments for each. This training will also explain several control measure techniques and safe work practices that can be used to prevent heat-related illness, as outlined in this document. It is the responsibility of each installation head to ensure that employees complete the above-referenced HERO course. Employees must complete this training prior to April 1 each year. Employees who are absent when the training is provided are required to be provided with the training prior to returning to street duties during the period of April 1 through October 31st. Mobile delivery device messaging. From April 1 through October 31st, mobile delivery device, MDD, messaging will be disseminated from the national level addressing issues related to heat exposure and the prevention of heat-related illness, with a focus on matters such as proper attire, sufficient hydration, effects of personal medical conditions or medications, how to recognize signs and symptoms of heat-related illness, other weather-related concerns, and guidance on how to respond in an emergency. Each week, the supervisor will give a safety talk addressing issues related to heat exposure and prevention of heat-related illness. These talks will be documented in HERO with certification of completion for all employees. Monitoring for signs and symptoms. All employees will be provided the below visual aids, figure 2 and 3, containing the various symptoms of heat-related illness. These visual aids may be used to assist in identifying common signs of heat-related illness and provide appropriate actions to help guide decisions by employees and supervisors to seek medical attention. The following figure is intended to provide specific first aid measures for each condition and should not be implied to reflect any progression in severity. Employees working away from a Postal Service facility should immediately call 911 and then their supervisor, if able, when they experience signs or symptoms of heat stress as referenced in Figure 2 below. Proper hydration and seeking prompt medical attention should be ensured at any time the below referenced symptoms arise during the course of a workday. When in doubt, do not hesitate to call 911. Employees and supervisors may use personal cell phones and other mobile electronic devices to communicate or to contact 911. As a reminder, for safety reasons, cell phones and other mobile electronic devices should never be used by an employee while driving or operating postal vehicles or equipment. Heat Illness Prevention Program has the facility name, date, developed by. This written program documents the procedure we take to comply with the required elements of the Postal Service's Heat Illness Prevention Program. This document will be reviewed annually to ensure effectiveness and compliance. Copies of this document are available to employees upon request. The HIPP is triggered during the period of April 1 through October 31 and at any other time when weather reports issued by the National Weather Service for a particular work location indicate that the outdoor heat index temperatures are expected to exceed 80 degrees during the course of a workday or work shift. Methods of compliance. Oversight. The installation head at all local Postal Service owned or operated facilities will be responsible for the implementation of this HIPP for their employees, provided the facility meets the heat exposure criteria outlined above. The Postal Service's Chief Human Resources Officer or his or her designee will oversee the HIPP from a universal perspective. Each area regional vice president will designate an area regional coordinator who will be responsible for ensuring the implementation and management of the HIPP in his or her area region, as well as certifying compliance with the HIPP for his or her area region. See Appendix 1. The area regional coordinator will be trained in the risk of physiological responses to and controls for heat index temperatures exceeding 80 degrees Fahrenheit and will have the following knowledge and skills: an understanding of the signs and symptoms of heat-related disorders, predisposing conditions, likely causes, prevention, and first aid in order to provide guidance and training to area regional employees, an understanding of the causes of heat stress, an understanding of the general controls for heat stress that include training, work practices, and surveillance, the ability to audit compliance with the HIPP. Appendix 1, Heat Illness Prevention Program Certification, Postings, HIPP and Heat Illness Poster and Safety Talk. For supervisors, the United States Postal Service implemented the Heat Illness Prevention Program to protect employees from heat-related illnesses and to educate them on how to stay safe during hot weather. Including in this HIPP Safety Talk, HIPP Safety Talk or Safety Talk, is the HIPP document and the Safety Talk that is to be given to all employees. The Heat Illness Poster, which must be posted in all facilities, has been mailed to all level 18 and above facilities. The Heat Illness Poster can be printed from the Safety Resource Tools, A to Z, OSH Topics, Heat Illness Prevention. For all other facilities, additional collateral material can be ordered from the Topeka NDC. This Safety Talk serves as the HIPP certification for your facility. By certifying the Safety Talk, you are verifying that the following tasks have been completed. 1. The HIPP is posted in the facility in a conspicuous location. 2. The Heat Illness Posters are posted in the facility in a conspicuous location. 3. The HIPP Safety Talk has been given to all employees. 4. Employees have been provided with Heat Illness Prevention badge cards. 5. Heat Illness Prevention stickers have been placed in all owned and leased Postal Service vehicles. You should not certify this Safety Talk unless and until each of the 5 tasks identified above have been completed. And so that's it. And I guarantee you, most of y'all, if y'all go in and look that up, it's not been done, but y'all been certified. I guarantee it, because they falsified the HIPP initially. Nationally, we did nothing about it. And so we had to take that on ourselves to grieve those things. I guarantee you that the y'all been certified, hadn't got HIPP yet. Okay, so look into that. But thank you, Manny Peralta, for sending that. He wanted me to read that to you, so I did. Okay, so and I've got a few other things I'll read next week. Okay, because we're going to stay on heat. It's a killer. It's the biggest killer of my people. All right, so we're going to treat it as such, and we're going to keep educating our people to stay safe. Nothing's more important than your health. Nothing's more important than your safety. Like I told them in that podcast, the Rural Carriers podcast, I'd much rather, if you ever question what you should do as far as safety, err on the caution of your health, always. I'd much rather put in an information request for your discipline than put in a phone call to get flowers for your family. That's easy for me. I will fight discipline all day long when it comes to your health. All right? do not want to make a phone call getting flowers to take to your funeral. We're not going to do that, okay? Take care of yourselves. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Take breaks as needed in this heat. Get off your route and go sit in the air conditioning. I don't care how long you have to sit there. Sit there and get your body temperature down, okay? Take care of yourselves, please, people. I love the city letter care with all my heart, and we're going to do everything we can to protect them, right? We're going to do everything humanly possible to protect our people. I love you dearly. All right. All this political stuff, we're going to work that out when we beat that ass next year. But I'm going to address certain things. That's just how I am. That's how I've always been. But I love you. Okay. Y'all take care of yourselves, please. Take care of yourselves in this heat, please. And I'll talk to y'all Wednesday on the Lion's Den. All right.